The date was locked in the global timeline, October 21st, 2024. Not with a bang, but with the silent digital intrusion into a system that governed billions in assets. For weeks, an unseen intruder moved through the network of a global corporate giant, stealing its most intimate secrets. Then, suddenly, the silence broke. A chilling demand appeared across servers that once managed everything from multinational invoices to long-term supply contracts. How did these anonymous architects manage to hold the keys to global commerce, and where did the hundreds of billions in ransom payments truly end up? The answer is hidden inside a shadow economy built on fear and the precise exploitation of digital trust. Chapter 1. The Digital Siege. The global automotive sector shuddered when the 8-base syndicate publicly claimed responsibility. They didn't just encrypt data, they stole it first. Imagine the glowing Volkswagen logo, instantly corrupted, overlaid with rapidly scrolling green transaction text confirming the theft of accounting files and proprietary contracts. This wasn't merely about halting production. This was the intellectual property of the future, the blueprints of the assembly line, now held hostage. The cost of the ransom demand was staggering, but the true price was knowing your competitive edge was now in enemy hands. This was the new playbook, the maturation of digital grand larceny. It wasn't enough to lock the door, you had to empty the safe first. This tactic, data exfiltration, became standard practice. It meant the victim faced double extortion: pay for decryption or pay to prevent the public release of sensitive employee and contractor data. The financial sector faced the same digital threat. Prudential Financial confirmed a massive breach attributed to the Black Cat, or ALPHV group. Here, the threat wasn't just operational paralysis, but the exposure of millions of PII records, triggering regulatory nightmares. We see the schematic outline of the Prudential building, seemingly robust, yet pierced by a sharp, black, cat-like digital claw. These syndicates weren't just anonymous groups. They were building a brand portfolio of fear. The presence of insignias like 8-base and Black Cat suggested a frightening corporate structure to their crime. These weren't lone operators, they were CEOs running a highly profitable tiered franchise model known as Ransomware as a Service, or RAS. The core developers leased their malware to affiliates, often operating from jurisdictions with minimal extradition treaties. The true architects built their fortresses in digital safe havens, untouchable by international warrants. Chapter 2. The Illusion of Control. Law enforcement agencies were fighting back, but the enemy was always one step ahead in the digital shadows. In May 2024, the National Crime Agency announced a joint international effort unmasking one ransomware leader, showing that attribution was possible. Yet the arrests of affiliates rarely touched the untouchable core. The technical sophistication was undeniable. Black Cat, for instance, utilized Rust-based malware faster, more resilient to analysis than older code. The language used to write the ransom note was as advanced as the encryption it deployed. These hackers didn't attack randomly, they studied the blueprints of global commerce, targeting industries like auto and energy. Halliburton was hit months earlier because the downtime costs were non-negotiable, forcing quicker payouts. But even the verified information was suspect. In the shadow economy, the real target was often the perception of fear. We learned of groups exaggerating victims, like one claiming to have struck the U.S. Federal Reserve, when in reality it was a smaller regional bank. In these complex situations, the scene is illuminated by flickering, contradictory financial data streams on a wall screen. They claim to hold everything, massive terabytes of stolen data, but perhaps they only need to show you a single page to bleed you dry. The concept of dwell time explained the scale of the theft. In the case of Conduent, unauthorized access persisted from late October until discovery, a critical window where the intruders harvested everything. This wasn't a quick smash and grab. This was digital infiltration, timed perfectly against the company's most vulnerable reporting windows. The real battleground was the negotiation. Ransom demands, often running into the tens or hundreds of millions, were hammered out over encrypted channels on dark web forums, a digital black market where law enforcement rarely had a seat. Chapter 3. Tracing the $100 billion phantom. The total value of this shadow economy is estimated in the hundreds of billions annually. When we talk about the $100 billion heist, we aren't just talking about the cash handed over to anonymous wallets. We see a vast glowing green ledger scrolling infinitely, representing the total flow of illicit funds. The true price tag is the market capitalization vaporized by a single line of code, the long-term stock price volatility and mandatory government reporting incurred after the attack. Even if the ransom was paid, this is where the central mystery deepens. We have the victims, Volkswagen, Prudential, and we have the syndicates, 8base, Black Cat. But the question remains, who are the ultimate unmasked leaders behind these prolific cartels? And how do they manage the final, most complex step, laundering the digital loot? The currency of this shadow world is often untraceable, moving across jurisdictions shielded by digital anonymity. Imagine a complex network map where the central nodes, the leaders, are hidden behind overlapping shields representing international safe havens. Law enforcement agencies are converging on the periphery, arresting the foot soldiers, but the command structure remains pristine, invisible. We look for the digital breadcrumbs, the specific cryptocurrency wallet addresses or blockchain analysis that could track the final transfer of those billions. But the architecture is designed for obfuscation. The leaders are insulated by layers of shell corporations, proxy transactions, and the very nature of decentralized digital finance. The ultimate destination of this laundered capital is the final, terrifying unknown. It funds the next generation of cyber weaponry, the development of even faster, more invasive malware, and sustains the entire ecosystem of digital extortion. This decentralized, highly professional leadership structure continues to evolve, making every critical sector from automotive manufacturing to global finance a potential target for the next perfectly executed unseen ransom. Until those final, unmasked leaders are brought into the light, the ghost in the machine remains in control, holding the infrastructure of the modern world hostage.